Namaste to all my viewers. Last time we spoke to Miss Rachita Chauhan and she explained her visitations to Shambhala. That video was liked by a lot of people. And when we listen to such spiritual experiences, we get motivated. And somewhere, some inside of us, our commitment towards the spiritual path, it becomes even more steadfast because now we have seen somebody else's experience. We know we are on the right path and we also can reach that point. So in the last uh, interview, Ms. Rachita Chauhan spoke about her visitations to Shambhala. From that point onwards to this date, she has progressed further on the path to the extent that her light body has got created. So, in today's video, we're going to talk about the various things that led to her light body activation. And in fact, she has written a book and complete account of her spiritual transformation, and it sort of gives the entire information, the signs, the symbols she saw on the pathway, how she connected with the divine, how she felt the transformation happening within. The link to that free book is there in the video description. You can click on it and read that book. Apart from that, Ms. Rachita Chauhan is here today to discuss some very important highlights of her spiritual journey. And let us learn from her experience and understand that this is not a mere bookish or a mere figment of imagination, the light body. Let us understand that this really happens when we are on the right spiritual path. Namaste, Ms. Rachita Chauhan, and thank you for returning again. Your first video was an instant hit with the viewers. Many were impressed and motivated by your visitations to Shambhala. In today's video, we would like to know how you've progressed further on the path, created the light body for yourself, because there are many others who are on the path and can learn a lot from you. And thank you for the free book that you have written and you've given it to us so that people can benefit by reading that book. Now, the last video which we made, where you made visitations to Shambhala, I'm posting a link to that video also in the description box below. Please watch it so that you understand that the continuation of that, and that is this video. So, have you again visited Shambhala after our first interview? And was it
Yes.
any different? Was it any different?
See, the visions were different, and I told you that as soon as I was contacted by Shambhala gurus, the contact is permanent till now. So the guru, God, and self has become one. So first I had Krishna's vision, then I was contacted by Shambhala gurus, then I had Krishna's messages that came, and then now there's no separation. So after that, yes, without me asking, there were several visions that I had of Shambhala. If you want me, I can mention them. It was a portal, and I saw a library, I saw a few structures, temples that kept on happening for like 3-4 times after that also.
How was
Yeah.
the overall energy of Shambhala? How did it feel?
So see, the moment you see some Shambhala temples or anything, you'll notice that it's a secret place for first instance only. In first instance, you'll know that it's a place that you're just getting a little glimpse of. You can't reach here like that, and it's not lighted. It's not daylight. The lighting of that place is a little dusky, so it's not like a white like a bright day outside. So whatever visions I have got, it's like a dusky vision out there. So that's what I've seen. And then earlier I saw the gurus. I mentioned about that they were levitating, but my second vision was about Brahma. I saw Brahma there and I saw Krishna there. And when I asked the astral gurus that how are they there, do they stay there, so they told me no, they are here astrally. So they keep coming astrally, and they keep giving their visions to them also, like that. That's how I think they move about. Yeah.
So, your light body activation is complete. So, can you describe how it looks like?
The visions that I got, initially, I saw myself as an outlined person. white outlined body. And then later, when I progressed towards the culmination, it was a total white body. And on top of it, there was a diamond shape diamond on my head. So I'm not sure, but I've heard that there are different kind of light bodies also, because I think
Yes.
light body is a body that's of a higher consciousness, but then you'll have different level of higher consciousness being also,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
So the diamond light body, I could really see that it's a diamond light body, and I kept on seeing diamond in my various other visions. So maybe it was like signaling towards that only.
Yes.
So yeah.
Generally, what happens is our sexual fluids, they rise up the spine, especially the Vajranadi in our spine. Vajra means diamond.
Okay.
So it is the essence of these fluids, and that is why you see it like a diamond on top of your head. So it is the Vajranadi, and it ends somewhere here, about 7 to 8 finger. It comes out here, which is called the Shivarandra. And
Right.
that is the essence of your Vajranadi, and hence the diamond
Okay.
on top of your
Oh,
head.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that is what creates the light body.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now, did you experience states of samadhi? And in case, how did it feel like?
Yeah, so the initial samadhi you start experiencing at the time of, when you experience the universal consciousness. That's the time when you first of all enter into samadhi state, and then you experience universal consciousness, and, self is realized, all that things happen. But later on, samadhi is a permanent thing. Then, it happens every time I go into meditation. There'll be few hours or minutes maybe of samadhi where your breath becomes almost zero, or maybe few counts in that state. But another thing that I now, back then I experienced was a divine breath in the samadhi state. So that was something very different that I experienced last year. That happened 4 to 5 times. It kept on happening.
Can you
So
describe it for us?
yeah, it's a very different feeling. Like, you feel a divine presence inside. So it changed my entire concept. See, Sharda ji, when you first of all you get a vision of God, like you have a Bhagavad Sakshatkar. For me, it was not. I wouldn't say it was outside. I saw Krishna as a vision. So it was like a Leela from Goloka. He was just moving. He was doing his Leela. He was moving around. So that was my visionary Sakshatkar. And after that, I experienced him as his messages, as his voice. I could experience his loving voice and that soothing voice. And third time, when I experienced the divine breath, I could feel him. So when you experience the divine breath, you understand that your breath is also not yours. It is the divine breathing in you. So you are just a vessel. So yeah, at that point, you are in your consciousness, but the person, I wouldn't say a person, but the one breathing inside is not you. That's what you understand at that moment. So it's the divine breathing in you. So yeah,
Yes.
that was the
And
experience.
you even mentioned in your book about a silver cord. Can you
Yeah.
elaborate on it for us?
So, silver cord, I think I explained to you that I felt it coming from backwards. From this portion, it extended towards the top, and it's a connection towards your higher self. So when I saw the silver cord, so my communication with the gurus and my higher self became like, I think Manas Chakra got activated, that also got activated. So the communication with your higher self, it's a link between your higher self. So I think ever since then, my communication kept on happening, and to this date, there's touchwood, there's constant communication with the higher self. So yeah, that's how I'm operating now. So yeah.
And you even mentioned that you were renamed by your gurus. Generally, what happens is when we reach a state of spiritual enlightenment, we have done away with our past, our gurus recognize it, and then they change our name. They give us a new name that will match our state of spiritual vibration. So, can you
Right.
tell us what name was given to you?
Yeah, so it was in one of the meditations when I heard them acknowledging me by the name of Hansa Yajovendra Rai Singh. So usually the gurus who've ascended even further, who are ascended masters, they are known as Paramhansa. So I was acknowledged by Hansa. So that's when I got to know that, yeah, I'm a beginner person right now. So yeah, the meaning I looked up after that, word by word, what does Hansa Yajuvendra Rising means. So it meant a fearless sovereign soul who has awakened divine discernment, mastered sacred knowledge and action, and rules with dharma, courage, and purity. So
Mhm.
now I know why names are given to even the gurus.
That's a very lengthy name, and sort of, I think it
Yeah.
aptly sort of represents where you are in the process.
Right,
Now,
right.
you told me, because we've been conversing about your experiences, you told me that you had a shift in consciousness where you saw the snake rising up, going around the spine, right?
Hmm.
When exactly was this?
So it happened like in the ending few months before I saw my diamond light body. So I kept
Okay.
on seeing rod of Asclepius. I think that's how we pronounce it. Earlier,
Yes.
I used to see the rod of Caduceus, if that's how we pronounce it. Those are the two snakes that
Yes,
spiral
rising
along.
up.
But
Yes.
towards the end of my light body completion, I kept on seeing only the rod of Asclepius,
Mm.
and there would be three diamonds on it. Again, three diamonds
Yes.
on it.
For the viewers, what exactly happened here is, I keep on telling many that we are in the form of Jiva at the level of the navel chakra region. And when we get a lot of karmic connections removed from our life, we learn life lessons, our consciousness shifts, we get disconnected from that level, it rises up the spine, both in the Kundalini awakening process and in the top down also this happens. And then the consciousness, it comes into higher chakra levels, and this is where you're able to connect with your masters, communicate with the divine, and the light body activation also starts happening at this level. And then,
Right.
did you experience the void, and how was it?
Yeah, after the Shambhala experience and after
Mm.
I had Krishna's messages streaming in,
Mm.
there was a phase of, I think, 40 days that were very uncomfortable because I think,
Mm.
uh, your void state is like you're just an awareness at that point. You lose all human emotions. I mean, there was no joy, there was no sadness, nothing at all. I mean, I was not feeling angry, I was missing that part in me. And in fact, it was so uncomfortable that whenever I would go into meditation, the gurus already sense that in you, so you don't have to even ask a question. As soon as I would go to my meditative state, they would start answering, it's okay, you will feel normal after some time, we are working on you, we are working on you. So it was an emotional less state, just how I think uh, when you experience the Brahman and your universal consciousness, you are just there, right? You
Mm.
just exist. So it
Mm.
was that state for 40 days. I felt I have no purpose left here. Like in this body, what do I do? I'm not feeling any emotion. So that's after when I got back, I got little desires and I started feeling a little angry and a little joy. So I really cherish those all lower emotions also. How much we look down upon anger and all those things. And after that 40 days of experience, I was like, no, human emotions are also not that bad. And that experience made me actually understand that whatever as a human also we are experiencing, the divine also gets to experience those
Mm.
emotions through you, because
Yes.
otherwise universal consciousness is just awareness, right?
Mm.
It's nirvikar, if I would say it in Hindi. It doesn't have any anger emotion or anything at all.
Mm.
It is just there. It's
Mm.
awareness state. So I
Mm.
felt that, yeah, human emotions are of some importance. So yeah, I felt very better, very better. Although I don't feel that angry like before. I don't feel that happy, or that joy is not that superficial joy. That angry is not that different level of angry. It's every emotion is controlled now also, but at that point there was no emotion. It was
Mm.
just awareness. 40 days. Yeah, yeah.
And the light body activation, you have experienced it recently, right? So, did you have the time to actually explore the light body, the psychic abilities that come from it, or is it too premature to talk about those things because it's just a
Uh,
new experience for you?
See, one thing I started noticing, every time I would go out, there would be some few people that I would spot in the crowd, and you would really spot the divinity in that person. I mean, they'll appear to you outwardly, not from this world. So it kept on happening to me for 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 times, that I would just walk out somewhere and I would spot a being that did not look like, of a 3D level. So that was one psychic ability I felt I mastered, or I don't know if it is still there, but yeah, it did happen to me at that time. Yeah.
And I understand from your book and your experiences that Krishna was the major driver for your spiritual evolution. So, can you give me a little, the viewers a little understanding on his role?
Yeah. So, like I've spoken about my surrender state in my previous interview also, my surrender was to Shiva, first of all. So, before an awakening, like we all know that you have that racing mind and you've tried everything from your end, and where your ability ends is exactly where true surrender happens. So, in 2022, 2023, I was in a phase where, I had thoroughly followed my guru for 18 years, and at that point I felt that I'm not able to proceed further even on my guru's path, because I got so obsessed with refining myself that I must see Buddha and God in everyone, but there were few areas where I was not able to polish myself. And that's when I kept on having this mental image where I'm just lying down on Shiva's and Parvati's feet and they're just putting their hand. And that image comes very naturally. I never thought that I'm going to surrender in that manner. They used to keep their hand on my head. And as soon as I surrendered to Shiva, he handed me over to Krishna. So when I got that energy from here, my heart chakra, I think it was the heart chakra awakening, when I started seeing Krishna's feet and his eyes and his morpang. Initially, I did not understand because I come from a non-dual practice. So I did not understand what is the importance of seeing Krishna's feet. Ask Vaishnav Bhakt, they will know. Seeing Krishna's holy feet is like the aim of Vaishnav. I did not understand. I would just, pay my gratitude. Oh, thank you, Krishna, for showing me your feet. Thank you for showing me your half eye. That's how he comes into your life. He'll just woo you. He'll woo you towards his charm. So after that, when I would not understand, Sheljaji, that what is actually happening with me, why am I seeing Krishna? There was one moment when I saw him outside. I mean, I would say it was Krishna because I was getting his visions like every day, and every day. And I just went to pick my daughter from school. I saw a Murli Wala there, and I knew that sort of episode because earlier also I mentioned in my book that when I went to Bodh Gaya and I was practicing Buddhism at that time, I felt a divine energy come towards me, and that person gave me in a shadow for me, gave me the Bodhi tree's leaves. And that was the same moment that I felt when I saw a Bansuri Wala right in front of my daughter's school. And I got back, and then I kept on thinking that is Krishna wanting me to worship him? Because honestly, I did not find myself capable of, first of all, God's grace at that moment. So that's why I was not understanding. But there was one vision that changed my life, and that was my point of surrender. When from the spiritual sky, he extended his hand like this towards me. And I woke up in tears. The moment he extended his hands towards me, it was like a clear message from him that just surrender all your burdens to me. And when I just said yes, I literally felt that all my past karmas have been washed out. He took away everything. So when I woke up in tears and my body was so light. I felt that the karma just, it went away from my body and the delusions went. You felt loved, you felt cared, and you felt that Krishna and you are same. There was no separation. So after
this
that
was the
also,
heart awakening.
yes, it was the heart awakening. And post that also, I did not enter the devotion path. I felt Krishna in me only. So it was like oneness only. I got to know much later that devotion, worshipping Krishna, doing his bhakti is also his due to his grace. Only if he wishes to, then only you can worship him. So after a year after that vision, now I have started doing the diyas, the puja, and the bhog and all that, the food that you offer to Krishna. Otherwise, I had never done all these things in my life. So yeah, that's what.
So your spiritual awakening brought you to Krishna.
Yeah.
Actually, we have, for the viewers' benefit, there are types of spiritual awakenings, and there is one type of awakening which is more Krishna oriented. You will see more Krishna and the signs, the symbols. Generally, people who are on that path will see Garuda, which is a vehicle of Krishna's consciousness more, and they see peacocks more. So this is a type of awakening where at the end it is Krishna's devotion that brings about the heart awakening. This is a one type of spiritual awakening.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
speaking to a few people in that. I think 2 or 3 are undergoing that type of an awakening, and yours,
Okay.
it comes into
Oh.
that category. Right?
Right.
So you have put in a lot of images, a lot of effort in writing the book, right? There are many images in Rachita ji's book, and these images sort of, they give you a picture of her path, the path she has walked down to reach where she is. She has moved to a point where her light body just got activated. Maybe in the next interview, after a few years, you can speak more elaborately about the light body and the psychic abilities it has given you, because now it is too early to talk about it.
True.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being part of the interview, and thank you for enlightening everybody about the spiritual path that you have walked. And let this be an motivation for many others to reach where you have and get their light body activated. Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Shelcha ji.